There we go. Finally got this thing working. 71 Monte Carlo. Right? This is an emergency repair job. Like rush, rush, rush. Brother, he's a buyer, a swapper of everything. This thing is an absolutely, believe me, being in this little garage here ain't doing this thing no justice. This body is straight as a pin. Okay, it's got cow track, 12 bolt rear end in it. Street slicks on it. 410, 12 bolt in, 411, whatever it is. 454. Okay, it's got a 540, I think it's a 540 lift or 550 lift. I think it's 540 lift cam, hydraulic cam in it. Looks like some Chinese roller rockers. He pulled this thing in here. This car is actually about an 8 out of a 10 condition-wise. 71, okay. Turbo 400, 9-inch converter in it. Unbelievably good exhaust system on it. Somebody put some money in this thing, that's for sure. But you could hear every lifter in it. I mean, had good oil pressure. Every lifter. It had two blown freeze plugs in it, driver's side in the back. Okay. And every lifter, the carburetor was spitting fuel out at the top. Regulator was set wrong. Look how this guy mounted this thing. Anyway, I mean, it's still a work in progress, right? But, yeah, so got the pressure set at about 5.5, or about 6 psi. Okay, adjusted the floats, still had carburetor problems. Took it apart. Somebody had like 72 jets in it, but they drilled them out. This thing was running so rich it would just fry your eyes right out of your head if you walked even near it. Changed the jets, got it jetted right. It had a blown power valve. Checked the vacuum at idle. Okay, now it's got a 4.5 inch vacuum valve inch power valve in it. Had a 6.5 in it. It was blown. Now it's got a new 4.5 in it because of the vacuum. 750 double pumper. It had 2 gaskets on a metering block. Well, I don't know why, but it did. So I cleaned all that out, tore the carburetor apart, fixed all that. Now the idle mixture screws work. The valve train is now quiet. Okay, here's the fun part though. Here's the part that's just beautiful. You see that power brake booster sitting down there? With these, I can see the valve cover there. I'm letting the gasket dry a little bit on there. Normally I don't do that, but it's got these, it's a long story. Anyway, the valve cover in the back. See right there's where the brake booster goes, right? Well, the valve cover in the back is about not even a 1/4 of an inch away from the brake booster. So the only way to get the valve cover off is to remove the brake booster. But to do that, the inner fender well had to come out. Let's see. Yeah. But fortunately, it's those plastic ones there. They're new. The guy he replaced both of them. They came right out easy. You got to do that to be able to get underneath it. Okay? The bolts. See those 2 bottom bolts where it bolts to right there on the firewall? You're not going to get to them without removing this. And forget that. Now, they make a smaller one for this situation and a smaller diameter brake booster. But the car is leaving here tomorrow. He's already got it traded off. So I'm just going to put it back. If I was going to keep this, well, first I'd pull this engine out because, I don't know, it's strong. I mean, I drove it before it's going to be stronger now, but the car needs more work. But the engine runs like a top. I mean, it really does. Electric fuel pump in the back, a Holly blue pump on it. Like I said, right there's the regulator. Somebody put on here. It's still got issues, but it runs good. Now, when he first got it, it was backfiring, it wouldn't idle. It was gas all over the place. It just, power steering pump was leaking. Low pressure line was blowing power steering fluid all over the place. like I said earlier, underneath, well, for you Chevy guys, you know where the freeze plugs are. It's a 74 454, but it's got 1966 427 heads on it. The good ones. Okay? All really good shape. Somebody had did slight pocket porting. I didn't even look at this intake. I think it's a torquer. It looks like a torquer intake. Maybe even a torquer 2. I don't know. I'm a Mopar guy. But I like them all, you know. And I think it's a torquer. I might be wrong. Probably. Well, no, look, you see it's got the screws in it for either nitrous injection or what have you. See, in the ports? So it's a newer one. Maybe it ain't a torquer. I mean, there's a lot of weird history with this thing. It went through like 3 owners in 15, 20 years, and nobody drove it. Just nobody ever drove the car, hardly. I mean, it's got some miles on it, but not much. Let's see if it'll start without even touching the gas. This was not even doable. Let me see. Let me reach in here. You can hear that pump, maybe. Yeah. You'll get up and go now, I'm telling you. Yeah, I know, it needs all be cleaned up. There we go. And the spark plugs in it, when it first showed up, were so loose, I took 3 of these on this side out by hand. Didn't even need a ratchet, just took them out by hand. Over here, I think it was like 1 or 2. 2, I think, was that just about that loose. Gear drive, it's got gear drive in it. For the, timing chain, instead of a timing chain, it's gear drive. I don't know why they put money, I don't know, whatever. And you can see the pulley arrangement on it, see? Which I kind of like, it's kind of cool. New aluminum radiator in it. I had to put a thermostat in it. The thermostat was hanging up. I had a, 210 thermostat in it? Now I took that out, put a 180 in it. Problem solved. Now it runs at about 185 degrees. So I didn't even check the time. I have no idea where the timing's at on this thing. And then I find out later, on transcooler out front, that the damper wheel on this, you know how it's got the rubber, to dampen it, to help absorb vibrations and what have you. It was taken apart, and the guy glued it back together. So, if this was mine, I'd be putting an SFI adapter or damper wheel on this. Absolutely. The flex plate is factory. I already confirmed that because I was under there looking around at everything. It's got a manual valve body in it, but with the column shift. So that's interesting. Somebody did put a nice shroud on it. Don't care much for the fan, but it works. It's like a car in progress. Hooker Super Comp headers. I'll get a load of this exhaust. I'm going to close this. Let's see if you can even see it. Let's see. Look at the size. It's got flow masters. Okay. There's a cross H. I don't know if you can, probably can't even make it out. Maybe you can. Right there. So somebody, they did it right. It's you can tell it's not that old. Well, it's old, but it's been setting. Hooker Super Comp headers, like I said, the big tube ones. It's going to the back of this. Oh, I'm getting too old for this crap. You can see the tires here. Okay. Same rims all the way around it. Nice setup, actually. The car is straight as this car is straight as a pin. Let me see. I don't know if this camera phone will do this thing any justice at all. But trust me, they put a lot of money in the body of this car. A lot of money, whoever had it initially. Oh, there's no way you can see this. I can't light it. But it's got, there's cow tracks in this. New rear sway bar. You know, right there's the fuel pump. If you can see that, there it is right there. And I'm not sure how they plumbed it, and I'm not even going to look because he's getting rid of the car. But I'll have it all done here in the next 3 or 4 hours. There's the rear. I'll have it done in the next 3 or 4 hours, and I'll make sure everything's good. I know he's got 94 octane fuel in it because we put 5 gallons of that in it. And then I'm going to make sure everything's fine. Take it out there, bring it up against the converter and lay into it. See how she goes. I'm going to drive this thing good and hard at least once or twice for about a 15-20 minute period. Then bring it back, clean it up. It's going to be on a car trailer tomorrow heading for, I think it's Kentucky. Anyway. But I'm going to make sure it's all good before it goes out the door. But yeah, last time, when this thing first got here, it basically would... think of something that was wrong. That's wrong. And there's still... Look, I mean, look at all this. But I'm not going to finish this car. He don't want to put any money in it. He just bought it to flip it. And, you know, that's just the way it is. Somebody put new coil springs on the front, lowered it like dummies. You know, because it's got the big Moroso or Milledon pan in it. Oil pan. I think it's 8 quarts. And, of course, you know, you got the flanges of these super comp headers hanging down a little bit. You know, it's all railroad track bait. It's all, you know, it's you know, nothing like catching your oil pan or what have you on something. But I just felt like I wanted to make a preliminary video of this thing. And, oh, it's a 74 454 stock bore. I guess it had like 59,000 miles on it. They stripped it, basically zing and ringed it, put 427 heads on it, big old comp cam in it, you know, and of course intake, and I believe that, yeah, 750 carb, which ain't big enough. It could stand more, but, you know, it is what it is. And, yeah, I just brought this sucker right back from the dead, man. Beautiful body. This thing is just gorgeous, this car. I mean, body-wise, you know, it's hard to impress me. I've had some show cars, mostly Mopars through the years. This ain't my first rodeo. And, yeah, this thing, I love the color. I like the lines. 71 Monte Carlo, man. Big block. I know this thing's in the 12s. Easily. It's going to run 12s. Probably low 12s. I wouldn't doubt it. It's heavy, but it's geared right. I know it's got plenty of power. So I can just tell. I'll know here in about 3 or 4 hours. I'll make a video of that too. And you know, probably more like 4 or 5 hours by the way things are going. But I just wanted to make a video, and there it is.